Okay, pre-cal students, let's go over the Unit 5B quiz review. Our first question is something that you've seen before. We have to do this operation. However, we got to find out the components for both A and B. So, way I like to look at it, we started at 10, and now we're at -9. That is a 19, a -19 shift, and now we're at -4, and now we're at -5. That is -1. All right. If you look at C, do this a different color. You're at -2, and now you're at 5. That is a shift of +7, and then we're at 5, and then -5. That is a shift of -10. All right. And then you're going to do the whole -8, -19, -1, the components for AB, -4, 7, 10. All right. And then you're going to take -8, distribute it. All right. So -8 times -19, don't know off the top of my head. Let's see, negative times. That's going to be positive 152. All right. And then this becomes +8. And then when you take the -4, distribute it, it ends up being -28 and then +40. All right. Now, here's the thing to pay attention to, and that is when I took the -4 and distributed it, there's now a void in between the two components, which means it has to go to an addition sign. So we're going to take 152 minus 28, or minus 28. My final answer is going to be 124, and then 8 and 40, the answer would be 48. And the next one is going to be -40, -105. I'm just trying to speed up a little bit by showing you one and then have that work with the other one. Okay, so a plane is flying south. Now, a lot of you guys are still like, south, what does that mean? Remember, this is 0 degrees, this is 90 degrees, this is 180 degrees, this is 270 degrees. But also, this is north, this is south, this is east, this is west. All right, so whenever you say south, well, south is 270. So our magnitude is 600, so I'm going to do 600 cosine 270 degrees, and then 600 sine 270 degrees. All right, and then if you keep going, the wind is blowing 235 degrees 70. Okay, so new color 70 cosine 235, and then 70 sine 235. All right, so 600 cosine 270 is 0. 600 sine 270 is negative 270. All right, so 70 cosine 235. We're just going to go to one decimal point, -40.2, and 70 sine 235 is going to be -57.3. All right, we're going to add both these together. We're going to get -40.2, and then the other one is -327.3. All right, so this is my component. All right, now remember the magnitude. The magnitude is x squared plus y squared is equal to the magnitude squared. All right, so I'm just going to square my x and y components, add them together, and then simply square root it. All right, that's going to be a 329.8 magnitude. And then the direction, if you remember, is inverse tan. Inverse tan. And then, because of the fact that we are going to be in the third quadrant, because both our components are negative, I'm going to add 180 to this. All right, so inverse tan plus 180. If I did it correctly very fast, I got 187 degrees, basically. All right. Question number 4, convert each pair of rectangular coordinates to polar coordinates. All right, so um, if you remember, this is your x, this is your y. All right, so the rule is your x component is the magnitude, and the y component for polar is the direction. So the magnitude, again, is x squared plus y squared. It's the same thing we did. So -9 squared plus 7 squared, square root that. You're going to get a decimal, and it's going to be 11.4 for my magnitude, and then for my direction, again, you're going to take your x and y and do inverse tan, and because of the fact that that is in quadrant 2, just like you did in the question above, I'm going to add 180. So inverse tan, all right, you should have gotten 142.1 degrees. All right. So question number 5. Let's see if we can do this real fast. I don't have my answers already, so I'm doing this real time. I got 24.2. Not degrees, that's the magnitude. And then in verse 10, uh, now of course we're going to be in quadrant 4 now. So I'm going to add 360, and I'm going to get basically 299.7 degrees. All right. Now, convert each pair of polar coordinates. Now, what's interesting about these question number 6 is like literally like this question number 3, where you have the magnitude, and so it's going to be 10 cosine 45, and then it'll be 10 sine 45. All right, so 10 cosine 45, that's going to give me 7.1, and then 10 sine 45. That's also going to give me 7.1. All right. Same concept for question 7. I'm just going to go ahead and do the work without talking through it. That's pretty much negative 13. And it's going to be negative 7.5. All right, here's to hoping no mistakes, right? All right, so question number 8, eliminate the parameter from the equation, solve for y. All right, so there's a couple questions. First off, you have to set the equations where it's t equals 2. And then second thing, you set them equal to each other. And then third one, you are now solving for y. All right, so first things first, looking at x, I got to take this 9 over here. It becomes x minus 9 is equal to 7t. I'm going to divide by 7, and that's what I get. So my final answer is x minus 9. I'm sorry. My answer for this one is t. Now for here, I'm going to divide by 5, and that is t is equal to y over 5. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this part and this part, set them equal to each other because they're both set equal to t. All right. So x minus 9 over 7 equals y over 5. All right, we are going to multiply the whole thing by 5 to get that 5 out of the denominator because we have to solve for we got to solve for y. And remember, when you divide the left-hand side by 5 over 1, remember you take the 5 to both the x and the 9. So my final answer will be 5x minus 45 over 7 is equal to y. There we go. All right, same concept for question number 9. It would be, let's see, x minus 5 over 2 is equal to t, and then y over 11 is equal to t. All right, set them equal to each other, x minus 5 over 2, y over 11, multiply the whole thing by 11. That cancels that out. That's basically 11 over 1. Final answer is 11x minus 55 over 2 is equal to t. There we go. Moving on. All right. So for this one here, find the components. All right. So here we go. All right. Notice the 50 degrees is is right before the 90 degrees, so that's going to be 40. So that's going to be 20 cosine 40 degrees. Right? Because remember, you always start here, and that measurement is 40 degrees, and then 20 sine 40 degrees. Next one is going to be, if you keep going from 0, walk, you hit 180 first, and that's 40 degrees after the 180. So that's going to be 30 cosine 220, and then 30 sine 220. All right, and then if we keep going, boom, we hit our arrow or our vector 60 degrees before 360. So that's going to be 40 cosine 300, and then 40 sine 300. Now, at this point in time, I'm going to go ahead and skip just because of the fact that you should already kind of know how to do this. We've been doing this forever, so I'm just going to go ahead and give you the answers. So I'm hoping, I mean, really at this question is basically just trying to find just trying to make sure you use the correct angles. That's usually the biggest challenge of all this. So when you do the components, add them all up, you should get all that, and then you should get these for your magnitude as well as your direction. All right. So next question is graphing the following. All right. So graphing the following, remember you always start at the origin. Okay. Remember 2 A's. Remember, that means two opposite A. So if A is 3, 3, the opposite will be negative 3, and I need to draw two of them. All right? So negative 3, all right? That's 1, negative 3, that's 2. All right, next is going to be negative 3D. All right, so negative 3D is the opposite of what D is there, so that is positive 4, 0. All right, so that means I'm going to go this way, and that way. Okay, so there I am. All right, so negative 2c. All right, so negative 2c is my next thing. So that would be negative 2, positive 2. All right, so negative 2, positive 2, negative 2, positive 2. All right, and lastly, D. I'm sorry, not D, but B. All right, notice it's plus B, so I'm not going opposite, so I'm actually using what is there. So that would be negative 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. There I am right there. All right, so that's what I believe it should look like. All right. Hopefully I didn't make a mistake. I'm doing this very, very fast. All right. All right. Now, Grable and graph and label the equation. All right. So this one here, please make sure that you are using Desmos. Desmos is probably the easiest thing that we have to use for you guys to do this question on. Okay, so let's see if we can get our Desmos calculator up. Okay, there it is. Now, in the upper right-hand side here, you have some grids here. This is a rectangular grid, but if you click on this, there is your polar grid. So if you want to use that, you can. Go ahead and go to degrees, just because we like degrees. All right, you should be able to work your calculator. I'm just going to do a couple here. So the very first one is r cosine theta. All right, so you need to make sure that you know how to do this. All right, so let's see. Um, R, remember to put in the equal sign as well. R, what is it, equals, and I've already forgot what it was. 8 cosine theta. 8. Um, and you could actually type in cosine, but of course, you could also just click on things. The theta is right here. All right, so let's see, take a look at what we got here. All right, it looks like a circle. Yeah, I'm going to say that's a circle. All right, so obviously, question number 1, we're going to do a circle. All right, now, I know that you guys can pretty much do this yourself, so I'm not going to go through all of them. I just want to kind of clarify a couple things or make sure we're good, and that is something like this guy right here. All right. Make sure you know that you cannot put r squared into the calculator. If you do, you're going to get an error message. So what that means is you have to rewrite it to where it's r is equal to the square root of 5 plus 33 sine theta. All right. Please make sure you remember that because, like I tell students, and that is today, I'll remind you, but the quiz day, I will not. So I'm just going to shrug my shoulders and go, I don't know how to do it because technically you should. All right. So obviously, this is nothing more than just blind memorization when it comes to being able to label what's what. So just in the interest of time, I am not going to go over this just because it is a relatively easy concept. So if you are someone who's having trouble with this, please make sure you talk to your teacher. But anyway, hope all that made sense. Have a good one. Thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye.